This is organic blueberry clusters cashew cereal. Guys, don't be fooled. This is processed. What is up? This is Coach C. All right, so I'm going to take you guys through my grocery haul, and I'm going to show you exactly what it is that I bought, why I bought it. I'm going to kind of go into a little bit of some of the rules that I follow to make sure that I'm making the best choices possible. Now, what I will say, a little heads up about this stuff. There are some things that I don't always get. There are some things that, depending on what season I'm in, as far as if I'm trying to stack on some more muscle, if I'm trying to cut up a little bit, some of the exceptions that I'm making when it comes to processed foods, like all those sort of things, we're going to talk about those things. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. And we're going to start with, of course, this side. You guys probably aren't able to see very well, but there's the groceries right there. And I'm just going to pull them up in front of the camera, and we will show you guys exactly what we're doing. I got the mic attached to me, so if I'm like feeling extra cautious over here. Okay, so first and foremost, I got one of my favorite sources of protein, which is going to be New York strips and some top sirloin steak. So I got those. There's so many, we always talk about micronutrients, right? We're always talking about micronutrients that are coming from plants and stuff of that nature. However, on the macro and the micro, beef is the ticket. I love getting my protein from beef. You guys, some of you guys know that I stay on a pretty good, steady, consistent carnivore kick. However, right now I am getting ready to go into what is called the vertical diet, where I'm going to be adding in a little bit more carbohydrate, a little bit more fruits, a little bit more rice to the equation in order to stack more muscle. And since we're headed into the bulking season, that's kind of what my plan is, my plan of action is. Got these right here. These are not necessarily for me. I don't really eat these unless it's a cheat day, but these are for the kids. So I'm getting them chicken wings. Reason why I do that is just so they can have a little something that that they enjoy, and it doesn't have to be just chicken breast for them all the day or all the time. This right here, ground turkey. So this is 99% lean ground turkey. And the reason I get this, not necessarily that I enjoy it or that I just like eating dry protein, to be honest with you. It's really just to push me over the edge with my protein, right? So if I am lacking in protein for the day, and I need protein, but I need to control my fat calories, that is like a godsend. That and egg whites are magnificent because there's very, very little fat in it, but I can get my protein up. When you're talking about steak and all those sort of things, you have to add those variables in. Steak's going to pack more fat, and the 99% kind of saves me when it comes to that. Another one that saves me when it comes to that is chicken breast, of course. Now, chicken breast, this is something that I use probably not as much as people probably would think, but it is something that is going to be eaten here and there to get me over once again to that protein threshold and making sure that I'm getting all of my protein that I need. This one right here, ground turkey, again, pretty much the same thing. This one does pack a little bit more fat. You will find different proteins that have different fat content, right? So depending on if you're in a bulking stage, most likely you're going to have higher fat content. If you're in a cutting stage, and you're most likely going to have leaner protein choices, right? Now, that being said, if you were in a cutting stage with a carnivore diet, then you're not necessarily worrying about fat calories because of the fact that your bulk of your calories is actually coming from fat because you're not having as many carbohydrates, right? And that's just because you're just not eating you're not eating grains, you're not eating a whole lot of fruit, you're not eating that sort of thing. So you don't necessarily have to worry about the fat content getting away from you because of the fact that it's your primary source of energy. All right, so the next thing we have the bubblies. So I have a few packs of these bubblies. These are just, great carbonated waters, flavored carbonated waters that we like to have. You pop a cold one of those on a nice day. It's just refreshing. When you're having your meal, it's just refreshing. It's just a nice way to get that drink in. substitute for sodas and stuff like that. You don't want to be drinking calories and hawking those back. So these are great. These are 0-cal. And, it takes a little bit to get used to them, but I've been drinking carbonated water for years now, probably, let me see, over 10 years now. So yeah, I'm completely okay with carbonated waters. All right, so we have cheeses. No, these are, a little word on cheese. If this was the most ideal situation, then I'd be getting these like raw and the super organic. These are generic. This is where I make that exception, right? So these are like, forms of cheese. But one of the things that I have, so I have this one right here that is basically a full fat Colby Jack combo. And then this one right here is a straight mozzarella fat-free cheese. Now, the reason why I have one or the other is because I may want a little bit more fat in maybe in an egg or something like that. But when I'm getting to the end of my day, I most likely am already done with my fat calories. So what I need is I want to have a little cheese on top of my steak and rice bowl or something like that, but I don't want to pack the fat. So boom, there you go. And that'll just basically give me pure protein. So the fat-free cheese, the mozzarella, actually is phenomenal for getting me over to that protein. It's like another thing that I use to help me get over to that protein that I need to get, the amount of grams I need to get. And you'll find that's kind of a trend with some of the foods and the choices that I make. That's kind of my trend for utilizing those things. Perfect example right here. These right here are sausages, right? So these are bourbon apple chicken sausages. This is another example of a processed food that normally is this stacked up against this is going to win every single time. But you have to live a little bit. You got to have a little bit of life, and you can't just be eating, this all the time and not have a little variety. So that's what this is for. I get this, and the macros on this is really, really good. Only 5 grams of fat, so it's super low in fat. That's about the amount of fat in an egg, and it has about 12 grams of protein. So I'm packing about 12 grams of protein, has about 530 milligrams of salt. So depending, once again, on your program, whether or not you're wanting to use sodium or not, depending on that, you're either going to eat them or you shouldn't be eating them, right? If you're trying to keep your sodium super low, and you're at that certain part of your diet, then that's probably not the best one. You want to stick to the whole foods, whole meats. All right, so moving on, we got Silk. I don't drink almond milk these days. I used to drink it a lot, but I really don't drink. I mean, I might have it here and there, but it's just something I just don't drink anymore. Get it for the kids. They like their cereal, which brings me to the next thing, which is Kashi cereal. Now, this is organic blueberry clusters, Kashi cereal. Guys, don't be fooled. This is processed. Even though it's a organic brand, non-GMO, all of that great stuff, it's a processed food. So it's going to operate in your body the way that a processed food does. So this is just another one of those exceptions that I make. You'll notice that those exceptions that I make, I try to make the cleanest choices possible. So reading the back of the label is super important to me. Making sure that it doesn't have a bunch of just really crazy ingredients, making sure that it's non-GMO and organic. Those are the sort of things that I'm looking for. Just because when you have those certain parameters that you are looking for, certain things can and cannot be in those products. So I'm not going to go into that. Maybe I'll make a whole nother video about that, about the difference between non-GMO and organic, okay? All right, so the next thing right here, this is another little thing that I love, mild banana pepper rings. So I love these. These have a little bit of dye in them, to be honest with you. So this is another one of those processed things that I make the exception for. It's not enough to like throw up a bunch of red flags, but I like to eat these on top of my bowl. So if I'm having rice and if I'm having just ground beef or something like that, and I have a little bit of cheese, a little bit of fat-free cheese or whatever, I'll throw these on top, man, put a little hot sauce, and bada bing, mwah, bada boom. I love it. Pickles, once again, a little bit of a processed food, okay? And pickles is just one of those things that it doesn't really pack any calories. So, when you eat these things, you're packing more than anything salt. So I use those when I'm dieting, when I'm trying to get lean, because it's just one of those things that just kind of, I don't know, it just hits at that salty need that I need. Right here, egg whites. So egg whites is going to be the thing that helps me get over my protein threshold yet again. So protein in this, it's just straight protein is what I'm trying to say. The fat's 0. So egg whites is a great way to save yourself some calories and to just get your protein at the same time. Amazing stuff. Red potatoes, believe it or not, these are low glycemic. So red potatoes are great. They're not going to spike your insulin too much and give you that super, super heavy carb load like regular potatoes do. They kind of act as the same as maybe a sweet potato or a yam. Crazy thing is a yam or a sweet potato, even though it's sweet, it has less of a glycemic load, sugar load than actual potatoes. Like, that's the craziest thing, right? But that's just the way it works. Here we go. This is mandarins. So this is just mandarins in just regular juice. There's nothing added to it, no sugars added to it. I like to use those after a workout. Come home, they're nice and cold, pop one of those babies open, slide it right back, and I'm replenishing my glycogen that I just finished using up at the gym. These are yogurts right here. Moving on. So I like these Dannon Light and Fits just because the macros on them are pretty good. Once again, processed. If I was really staying true to nature, I'd try to get these as raw as possible. Try to get these without any of the additive peaches or the vanillas or anything like that. These are processed things. But because of the numbers, I am looking at the macros and the calories on these things, okay? So what it comes down to is understanding how this food works, what you're utilizing it for, and not abusing the heck out of it, okay? We'll do a whole nother video on that, but that's like a whole nother layer of nutrition, okay? So this is after, this grocery haul is after years and years of knowledge of me actually figuring out the nutrition aspect of things and all the things that I'm learning all the time, right? So it's like this never-ending thing that you'll go through because nutrition is always being challenged. It's one of those things where it's growing because we're finding out more and more, and the science gets better and better about food and that sort of thing. So I like the macros on this stuff. This stuff is right here, 0 grams of fat, and it has only 8 carbs and about 13 grams of protein. Perfect to get me over that hump. Let's say, for instance, that I am 15 grams below what I need to be for the day as I'm tracking my food. This right here, one of these, 13 grams, gets me right to that number, okay? Okay, I got some, this right here, this is ribeye chops, this is pork, right? So that's just another source of protein. I got extra lean ground beef to control those fatty calories. Got some limes. You gotta have limes, man. I love using this. I believe I have around here, I have some guac. So I have avocados, all right? So I got avocados, so I'll combine the lime and the avocados, throw a little bit of sea salt on there, and love it, love it, love it. Honey, this is, I use this a little bit when maybe I'm having a high carb day and I make some French toast or something like that. I'll get some bread with some egg whites and a little bit of eggs, and I'll carb up like big time. I don't know how many, I'll probably eat like maybe 400 grams of carbs in a day. So I'll get some French toast and pour that all over that, man, and just spike my insulin all crazy. Okay, so these right here, rice cakes, right? So rice cakes is another thing that I absolutely love. Exception, it's processed, has certain things on there that maybe I don't really want to be eating. But this is in the macro standpoint, from the macro standpoint, the numbers are on point. So let me just show you this. 0 fat, okay, so saves you the fat calories. 11 carbohydrates and about, where are we at? Protein less than 1 gram. So you're eating these for the carbs, right? So if you're at a certain amount of carbs for the day, if you need to have 300 grams or 200 grams or 100 grams or whatever it is, these are great ways to increase your volume without going overboard, right? So I can eat like 3 or 4 of these, and if I eat 3 or 4 of these, let's say 3 of them, that's only 33 grams of carbohydrate, right? So that's really awesome, all right? Next thing right here, we have organic thin sliced bread. Now guys, I usually get Dave's Killer Bread. I do like this Oro Wheat organic bread as well. Once again, processed food. Listen, man, the fact of the matter is that we should really only be eating meats and fruits and some veg, and that's different for me because I used to preach vegetables into the ground. But some veg, and it's been kind of proven that they got some anti-nutrients, and that's a whole nother story. So you're not going to see a whole bunch of greens like it's probably going to trip you out. You're not going to see a whole bunch of that in my diet right now. So anyways. We should be eating stuff closest to nature. And I will give you a prime example of what that looks like, right? So let's say, for instance, that we have, if you can imagine for a second that this is an orange, right? This is obviously not an orange, but squash. But say this is an orange, right? This is an orange, and this is the closest thing to nature because it's just an orange. This right here has been processed and added into its own juice, right? Even though it is its own juice, guess what? It's still processed, and it is probably going to have higher content of juice, higher sugar than what would normally be found naturally in just the orange itself. So that awareness around that, understanding that those are the things that we should be getting to, right? Like the most whole foods possible. That's what we're looking for. All right, pineapples. I got a couple of these bad boys because I love pineapples. It's one of my favorite fruit. And I like to have it after a workout or maybe after evening cardio when I go to the gym and I do my cardio in the nighttime. I like coming home to something refreshing, just really awesome. All right, so here's about the only veggies you're gonna find. Bell peppers. I got the bell peppers on deck. Love those. Got some paste pecan, man, or paste pecan. Is that what it? No, paste chunky salsa. I don't know what pecan is. Anyways, so I got the paste. That, not a whole lot of crazy ingredients. Got two different varieties. I got the green and the red. I tend to like the green a little bit better. So I got that. I got Cholula sauce for the kids. That's one of those things that's kind of a staple. You know, you got to have that. Eggs. Got some cage-free eggs right here. And of course, when you are dieting down and when you are trying to lose the weight, this is super important. Choose fruits that are low glycemic, okay? So low glycemic, this is not low glycemic. This is a bit higher in that. The oranges, the mandarins are higher, right? But when you're talking anything in the berry family, strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, these things are going to be lower glycemic. They're not going to spike your insulin as hardcore as some of these other fruits would, right? All right, so let's move on. And this is probably the last thing I have here. And yeah, so then let's move on to this right here, which this is deli meat. Once again, process. You should try to get as close to this as possible, but sometimes you want to have a little something, right? Sometimes you want to roll a little bit of this up with some mustard and you know, throw it up in one of these or whatever. Just have a little snack. Like it's all good. It's all good. The one thing that I have learned is that trying to eat as closest to nature is always the best policy. When you are dieting, there are just certain things that bring you pleasure. When you are trying to lose weight, there are certain things that you can do that macro-wise, proteins, carbs, and fats, that's what I mean by when I say macros. Your proteins, carbs, and fats, if it hits those numbers and it's not really forcing you over those numbers and it tastes good, like that's kind of a compromise. It's like, okay, all right, I gotta have a little bit of that. And that's what these rice cakes are, right? So it's not the closest thing to nature because the closest thing to nature would be an actual pot of jasmine rice or white rice, right? So these are processed, but it's one of those things that helps me get through the cut. It's one of those things that helps me to keep my sanity because these are like caramel flavored, right? Like, and apple cinnamon, and it has just that nice bit of like that I'm looking for, especially when I'm not eating heavy ice creams or I'm not eating like heavy desserts or anything like that. These are just things and little hacks that I have found. These things that are flavored, these things that hit those macros, but they're still flavored and they still have a little bit of life in them, right? Otherwise, it'd be eating nothing but just like plain Jane stuff that has zero anything in it, and that's no fun sometimes. So, as you can see, oh, I forgot, I got the organic tortillas, okay? Organic tortillas right there. Once again, do I have to say it? It's processed, it's organic, it's, you know, it is non-GMO, so it's trying to be the best it possibly can, but you know the deal. Closest to nature, right? The best thing to do if you were trying to have a carbohydrate is to actually eat something that is more in nature, like a sweet potato, a yam, rice, something like that, okay? Anyways, guys, that is the grocery haul, man. I'm about to put all this food away and make me a meal because I am starving. But I wanted to make this video for you guys. Listen, man, if you got any sort of value from this video, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button because I'm going to be bringing you guys more stuff like this and showing you a little bit more behind the scenes of what I'm doing to be able to keep in shape and to be able to do everything I have to do to feed my family. My family, my kids, they eat as as well as I do. This is not something that like only some of the, you know, only I eat like this. Like my kids have been eating like this for years. So it's mandatory in my house. It's not something that, oh, I just let the kids get away with all the snacks and all that. Like, no, there's time for that. But we don't bring them into the house. We do them on the outside, okay? Other than that, listen, if you got some value from this video, let me know in the comment box. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe. And if you are looking to get in shape, got a free challenge going on right now. All you have to do is click the link in the description, and it's going to take you to our private Facebook group where we are rocking and rolling, and you can get a free membership for our online digital program where you're literally working out with me for free, for absolutely free. There's no charge to it, no credit card, no nothing like that. It's just my way of giving back for you liking these videos and subscribing to this channel and all that sort of stuff. So appreciate you guys. This is Coach C reminding you to always, always, always live with purpose and keep evolving. We'll see you soon.